We are still live, Eric Anderson. Thank you so much for being with us on a Tuesday night on behalf of First Amendment Sports. I'm Ken Marangolo. He's Kevin Ricca.
Is someone going to let us know how long we've been live for?
I know,
Do
right?
I make a run for it with T?
No.
Do we?
It was just when I was standing there. We had an issue with our back end, but we are good on the front end. He's Tim Strachan.
Good to see you guys, man. It's been a long time. Good to have you guys on the board. Hey, it's another Victory Tuesday. It's 4 in a row, boys.
4 in a row.
What?
Thank God it's Tuesday, the official Washington football team podcast, live broadcast of Hawks Haven. Welcome to everybody on the board. Eric Anderson, Robert Cohen, James Rainey, Greg Martin, AGH. Appreciate all you guys hanging out with us on a Tuesday night, on a Victory Tuesday for that matter. We have a lot to talk about. Most importantly, what we have to talk about is a first-place team. I mean, it's not like we called it, but in some way, shape, or form, we kind of did call it.
Well, let's just say this.
What?
We called us the favorites about 7 weeks ago.
We did.
And then we made a mess all over ourselves. Then we cleaned up real nice. And now we've been kicking everyone's ass for the last month. So, yeah, we called it.
I just find it funny, these pundits out there who were crushing not only just the NFC East, but the Redskins in particular, are now the same people who are saying they're the most feared team in the NFL, or becoming almost on the precipice of the most feared, certainly on the defense.
Didn't need you now. Didn't need you then.
Jeez.
Don't want you now.
True.
Have it. Keep
True.
it. Now do
We've
whatever
kept
you
it
need to
positive
do.
here, no matter what.
Down here, the three of us have said two things that none of us have wavered in. Ron Rivera, Chase Young. You'd need to be Nostradamus's special great uncle to figure out the Alex Smith scenario. But the three of them form the 2020 version of the Culture Club, because the three of them have come to town and changed the culture. And that's what we said.
Changed.
And that's what we said. We said we're not going to have expectations this year. We're not going to get beat up week by week with the crap that we're going to go through. And, boy, have we gone through some crap. But we said we believe in Ron Rivera, and we believe this team will get better, better, and better and be playing their best ball as the end of the season comes. Well, damn it, there's 3 weeks left, fellas, and look who's in first place and has the ability to have a non-losing or winning record. That blows my mind. Mind-blowing after all the crap we've dealt with. The Trent Williams situation, the Dwayne Haskins situation. Does anyone even remember Darius Geis and how bad we thought that was going to be?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we cut Adrian Peterson about 10 days after that. So, guys, there's a lot of days in this quarantine that have been very important to us as Redskin fans. And, Ken, I'm just going to ask you this. At some point during the rest of this, let's talk about some of these days. Because I know you were heading somewhere else to kickstart this show off. Just don't forget about the days.
The days.
Yes, sir.
I won't forget about the days. I got into it on Hawks Haven with some faithful readers on the issue, which I don't want to spend more than 10 seconds on it, because I've been very clear. We've been very clear about it, and that's very simple.
Okay.
We root for wins. That's it. Yeah. Someone was trying to, and it's a guy who, Kyle Smith for GM. He's in the comments all the time, and he's welcome to his opinion, and he keeps suggesting that somehow we needed to root for losses so that we can draft guys like Chase Young. And I said,
God,
no.
Heaven.
We root for wins. The team gets the record it gets.
Okay.
Gets the draft pick that corresponds to that record, and we move forward. You don't get better by losing, and you certainly don't enjoy life being a fan rooting for losses. He was trying to argue that by him rooting for losses, it somehow resulted in us getting Chase and us losing Bruce Allen.
Okay.
And the point that I was trying to make to him is that there's not these divergent paths. We're on one path alone. The path did get us Chase Young, but at the end of the day, the path also leads to Ron Rivera teaching a team how to win, teaching young players what matters, what's important, and you don't get better by losing. You don't become winners by rooting for losses. I hate it.
What's his name?
Kyle Smith for GM is
Okay,
his,
Kyle, I want you to go to Chase Young and tell him that you want them to lose.
No. He's not
See how
talking
that
about right
goes.
now. You're just saying he was rooting for them last year to lose. In the beginning of the season, I know a lot of these people were doing the
Tell
exact
any
same
of
thing.
them on the team
I know.
to do that.
I understand.
It
Here's the
doesn't
deal.
happen.
I've been dealing with this a little bit, different level, not so low of a level to admit that this is the right way to go about it, because no one's ever tanked and succeeded in the history of this league, ever. There's not one example of it. So that makes me sick that people still believe in something that's never happened. Also, it's fantasy football draft syndrome. Here's the deal. Oh, I know how to make my football team better. My football team on CBSSportsline.com. I need to have a top pick so I can get the top talent, and that gets just washed through your brain year in, year out, and you have no idea what a locker room smells like or looks like, or how it functions, or how it self-governs, or how it polices, or what it does, or what it's like to be a part of that, good, bad, or indifferent. Stop. Step away from the keyboard. Take the jock strap off your face. Throw it in the laundry, and maybe don't wash it. Never, ever wash that laundry. Get rid of that disgusting loser mentality and your terrible outfit that you're wearing on your face, and stop fighting with my friend on hogshaven.com.
Right. I mean, we were talking last week. Kevin, we missed you, but a part of our conversation was
you were missed.
You were missed. But this feels so much better. This feels so much better. What we're doing right now, what we're experiencing, what we're watching is so much better than what Kyle's talking about.
Hey, how about this also?
You can't argue
No one
with that.
can predict the future. You can't predict a week. How about this? The NFC East, they talked about it, how good they've done the previous 3 weeks. As of right now, the last 4 weeks of the season, NFL seasons, week 11, 12, 13, and 14, the NFC East has a combined 9-6 record. No one else has that winning percentage. No one else is 3 games above 500 in the last month of this season. The NFC East is, and I mean, there's some hot teams out there.
Yep.
The Redskins are one of 3 teams that have won 4 over that span. I can't believe we're here. I'm trying to be calm. I'm about to start yelling, but we're in a church basement. I'm not going to say what church, but I don't know what meeting's going on over here. But they're not talking about the stuff we're talking about. I know that, T. I know that because I got the text that says, "I just heard you guys live. You didn't think you were on," for my wife. T might need to wash his mouth out with soap.
Ooh, T.
That is not true.
The sacristy's right upstairs. We could do a little confession.
If I did, I apologize.
Just confess.
I guess.
Jets.
I don't know what I was
don't know if the
saying.
Jets, to answer a question on the board, I don't know if the Jets are tanking or if they're just terrible, but it's probably a lot of both. My agenda, our agenda for tonight, talking about we're going to get to the days. The days will now be forgotten. These are days.
I'll forget the days by then.
Days.
These are the days.
The significance of one of the most amazing defensive rookie stories on this Washington team, and I'm not talking about Chase Young. Cam Curl. His name needs to be shouted. His name needs to be said. The number 31 jersey, I think, is turning into something. From where we started the season as a safety, all the stupid talk out of this guy about Troy Aikby, the heavy talent, highly paid, staple of our back end in Landon Collins. Curl, he was playing big nickel. He was playing special teams. He was not going to be this guy, and he gets a chance, and he turns into a player that looks like we're going to be able to count on him. And one thing I want to talk about Cam Curl, the reason why I think he's a guy that we're going to be able to count on is because you have 11 guys on the field and you have a plan, and guys have to be in their spot. On the play where Cam Curl took that ball back to the house, he was in his spot, and he talked about it after he said, "I was in my landmark spot for that play call." The idea that players should be where they're supposed to be, it sounds crazy. I know. We've seen so many years of guys on offense not being in sync and guys on defense not being on time, changing schemes, and linebackers playing two gap when the linemen are playing one gap, and linemen playing one gap, and the linebackers don't know what to do, and everyone's going crazy, and no one's where they're supposed to be. We can't cover a 7-yard out. We sure can't cover a deep ball. The idea that a late-round rookie safety in what could have been the biggest moment of the day was where he was supposed to be, and he made the play. And, I mean, again, it's infinite value for a franchise. You worry about drafting the right guy in the top 5. Screw that. If you draft the right guy in any point in the draft, including the undrafted portions, and you give him an opportunity and he makes the most of it, that's what makes your team better. And, man, he is so much fun to watch because guess what else he does? He tackles.
He tackles his ass off.
He tackles his ass off. Oh,
I've said this to you. When we talked about these guys, listen, the three of us sit here, we offer up our opinions. Those are our opinions. We're not afraid to be wrong, and we don't sit here and rub it in when we're right. We just talk. I've been wrong plenty. Ask AGH. He reminded me to stop predicting things. I said Adrian Peterson, the whole 9. I couldn't believe all that. I know this. We got a 7th-round gem, and when you start as a true freshman, as an 18-year-old at cornerback in the SEC, and you're that size, that means you're bringing some serious talent to the table. There is no doubt in my mind that this guy was going to be a steal from the jump, and how they had moved to safety his junior and senior year. And, he wasn't on any all-star anything. I think he was second team all-SEC. But it's because Arkansas wasn't winning.
Yeah.
The dude started as a true freshman at the toughest position in the league. His physicality, 7 total tackles, all solo, none assisted. He's a physical badass. Just like a lot of guys on this defense, when he tackles you, he runs through your ass. And you remember that as it evolves over 4 quarters. We are beating the shit out of teams physically on the defensive side of the ball, and it's the coolest thing ever because the shit that used to happen to us for so long, now we've got the hammer, and there's a whole bunch of nails on the other side, but we got the hammer.
And I'm glad you said that because I look at it a little differently, not taking anything away from Cam Curl because he's been unbelievable, and maybe he would have been this successful anywhere he would have gone. However, I want to think that this culture change that we're seeing, started by Ron Rivera, being cemented by guys like Terry McLaurin and Chase Young as young leaders of this team, and then other guys, and we can name it all, how they're approaching their craft. A guy like Cam Curl with that ability, and again, I want to give him as much credit as possible, but a young guy like that seeing other guys in your locker room doing the things that those guys I just mentioned and others are doing creates a culture. We talked about it a few weeks ago. You learn to win in this game. You have to learn to win at this level. They're learning to win. I think that's all coming together, and it's awesome to see.
You only learn this fast if you've got a hell of a teacher. And Ron Rivera, this is a whole do-over, and he's got us back in the mix. And in quarter 4 of season 1, we're in first place.
It's not about. We said we can say Chase Young's name all day, and we will.
Keep saying it.
And we can just keep saying it over and over. He was a joy to watch. It's not that I don't want to spend time talking about Chase. It's all we talk about because it's all we should talk about. But for the first time in so long, there's stories up and down to talk about. Like Cam Curl stands out in a way that deserves to be mentioned. I want to talk linebackers. I have spent so much time being unhappy with our linebackers the first half of this season. They were a weak spot for us. Our linebackers and our offensive line. These 2 specific groups today stand out to me as real reasons for.
But we do get to talk about Chase, though.
Oh, we're never going to stop talking about Chase.
Sorry, you're making me nervous.
Pierre Lewis came to play.
Number 54.
Oh my God.
He had that highlight.
That highlight. Yeah. That just was the best highlight. I mean, he played a very good football game.
He plays so much faster than I thought he would be for a guy that it didn't seem like anyone wanted in the offseason when he kind of came in as a special teams guy and who was going to get reps at linebacker. It seemed we were pretty stacked. It seemed like Thomas Davis was going to be a guy, and we had some young bucks, from Alabama who were looking to get reps. And then this guy just clearly earned his way onto the field. In the eyes of Rivera and Jack Del Rio, who, by the way, if they see it, it's real. And he plays to the echo of the whistle, and he gets through people.
Here's what he is, and here's why he's here, and maybe he'll be here next year, and who knows? He's been a treat, no doubt about it. This is the first time we've had a sound system where we went out with a budget, mind you, with our eye towards this next year, 2021. We went out and got some pieces to fit. I believe we had a 50% roster turnover around that level. But in years past, we've tried to plug guys in and utilize our defense based around their talents, and we were just chasing that dog's tail around and around and around. These guys had a sound plan. We're going to run this system. We're going to switch up to the 4-3. This is what we're going to do. We need guys like this, and this. I need my outside linebacker to be able to run his ass off. He's got to be fearless. He's got to be able to run with some of the best athletes in the world. Let's get that guy, Kevin Pierre-Louis. He doesn't cost much over the league minimum. Let's bring him on in here. If anything, he can run down on specials. And let these guys hash it out. We talked about it. Let them hash it out all summer long and figure it out with no preseason, mind you, during a pandemic, while Rerun is taking this whole scenario and changing the culture within the framework of one calendar year.
Disney.
Guys like Kevin Pierre-Louis that are brought in here to see what they can do.
Yep.
The Logan Thomases of the world. We'll get there. But at linebacker, we talked about how much he loved Cole Holcomb at the beginning of the year. Well, he brought him along slowly. Thomas Davis gets hurt. Bostic's in there playing. And Bostic can play. Yeah. Kevin Pierre-Louis, when he jumped outside of that little crackback pick route to the running back and to the tight end on 3rd and 2, I think, and made the tackle on the flat and that single-handed play, there's a reason why we have an athlete that coming in.
Yep.
But maybe he's a little bit shorter. Maybe he is not from the big place or the highest draft choice. Those are the guys that Ron Rivera is about to circle up and pounce on this coming offseason, the most important offseason in modern-day Redskins football history. Those are the types of guys we're going to have to talk about re-signing the KPLs or go out there and find another one just like them because they fit this system. And now we've got a damn system that's functional, sustainable.
Vince Lombardi did that. He went out and got football players, but certain guys, certain mentalities, certain just built differently. He surrounded himself with guys like that. Ron Rivera reminds me of a throwback Vince Lombardi type of coach in today's game.
His ability to connect with the players of this era, being a guy that played within the framework of two eras.
He knows what kind of guy you want on your team to be hungry and get better. He knows what those kind of guys. That's what he's building.
Cam Crow can be that big safety.
That's what I'm saying.
He can, and he's got the opportunity.
At the worst, he was going to come in and play that role with the opportunity to flourish as the starter.
And now he can play next to Landon Collins for the next 2 or 3 years. The thing about the linebackers, when you get these guys, it's because you have such an amazing defensive line. You say to yourself, we have Sweat, Allen, Payne, and Chase in the front four. You don't need diamond-studded linebackers to play behind those guys. You need smart football players who know that when you have those four talented kind of defensive linemen in front of you, if the coach says they're going to do what they do, here's your job. Get over here. Here's your job. Backpedal 8 yards and then climb as fast as you can to the flat. And that's exactly what they do, and they're consistently benefiting from the play of our defensive linemen. And we can talk about Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne. We can continue talking about Chase Young because we will. But Montez Sweat is he might be the most underrated, amazing, talented defensive end. I mean, because nobody on a weekly basis, people don't understand that you cannot throw over him. You almost can't throw around him. You can't single him. You can't run away from him. He is as good. It's unfair that you have him and Chase on opposite sides because Montez Sweat would be the best defensive end on more than half the teams in this league.
Yeah, I just shaking my head at the underrated part. I think there were expectations on him, and people thought he was failing off the bat. And right now, he's blowing people away. He is. Yeah. This is the first. I am so glad for the generation that had never seen any of the Redskins' success with Dexter Manley and Charles Mann. This is the closest thing this generation is going to see to what we grew up with.
That's what James Rainey said on the board tonight. He said it's
and cooler
our
nickname.
Manley.
We got the Sack brothers.
Yeah.
And they play both sides. They switch up. So they both star in roles as left Sack brother and right Sack brother. And they can play either one. And you know what? They love each other. These two guys just hang around together all the time. You know, they're just that went one sentence too far. But they are boys off the field. In the last couple of weeks we've been hearing these stories, and you know what? Both quiet, hard-working guys that are men of means. They want to go out there and earn their keep, both of them, as young bucks. The Sack brothers are going to be around for a while. I mean, I think they just became best friends.
Yeah, and you see a bond between the two. And I think Greg Jennings was talking about it a little bit because I think Montez Sweat is so effing happy he's got a guy like Chase Young. Yeah. Now they can both flourish, right? Without that piece, it didn't allow Sweat. No offense to Kerrigan, but there's just something different now. And he's being freed up to make plays, and he's making them.
Yep.
I think that's also the thing about the NFL, the front defensive front. These guys are becoming some of the highest paid players in the league, as well they should be. And our four are going to be as in demand as any in the National Football League. But I also think there's the aspect of, in the past, when we've had top talent, when we've had our hands on it for a second, and I'm not here to say Preston Smith was some world beater, but guys don't want to stay here. The guys haven't wanted to stay here. I think that for the first time, we'll have
it's part of the culture.
Two things going for us. It's the strength of our team, therefore you invest in it. Mm-hmm. So salary cap space will be rightfully designated towards your Allens, your Paynes, your Sweats, and your Youngs. And also they'll want to be here because they will have established something. They will be, you know, the where I'm going with this is when we grew up, the face of our team was a big fat 5-man offensive line. You know, and it was unheard of. The face of a football team was an offensive line, and that was
Joe Jacoby's face.
It was
that was
Joe
the
Jacoby's
face of our
team. And it was the best face ever, and it won Super Bowls. And it's never ever been
sold huge TVs as well.
Sold
awesome.
Huge big screen TVs. And it's never been duplicated. They had the wall in Dallas, but it was never as good as the Hogs in terms of marketability and amazing awesomeness. But I think now what you're seeing is the face of our team is that defensive front. And that's not something you just trade away. These guys are going to get paid. They're going to get their money, and they're going to be able to play together as long as they want to. And the whole thing that we've seen from week 1 to week 14 isn't, you know, the path to 6 and 7. You can't tell it obviously without the evolution of the defense. And the whole world knows who we are, and who we are is Sweat, Allen, Payne, Young, and a lot of other things, but that's who we are. And as a football fan, when you have the best offensive line in the league, you know you got something, and we did. And you can put any quarterback behind it, and you can shuffle running backs behind it, and you can play some good defense around it. But when you have as good a defensive line as there is in the game, you know you have something. And you know you can win games, and you know you're not out of it, and you know you can make it to the playoffs. And what's more important about those two things, when we talk about winning games in the trenches, offensive line and defensive line, that's how you win postseason games. Forget about Super Bowls. That's how you win postseason games. When you get to the postseason, forget about your $100 million fancy wide receiver, your trash talking $1 million cornerback, and this and that.
Well,
Your $1
big
million
You're big
quarterback?
guys. Yeah, you're big. You're big
quarterback?
guys.
You better get your ass out the playoffs with your $1 million
it makes
cornerback.
total sense that a great defensive line can make any DB better. I've never heard of a great DB ever making a defensive line good. I really haven't.
I'm gonna tell you guys this just before I forget. While we're on the topic of this great D line and this offseason, I know what you're saying about the linebackers. We're gonna go out and get a pit bull beast dog
Top 2 rounds
as a middle linebacker.
Yeah,
When
that's
Ron
the way it's starting to shape
when Ron
up.
Rivera took this job, he said there's 2 positions that were at the forefront: the captain of the team and where the team starts from. And he said specifically the quarterback position and the middle linebacker position. I do not believe Ron Rivera's middle linebacker is on this roster, and I think that's what sends this defense to the next level. Then you got the Bosticks and the Holcombs and the KPLs. They can rotate it, the strong and the weak, depending on their skill set and who we're playing against week by week. But you got that guy in there, that tackle machine, that monster, that guy with a nose for it.
Did he have Kuechly?
He had Kuechly for the entirety. He had Cam Newton and Kuechly,
That's
the captain of the offense and the
Julius
captain of the
Peppers.
defense.
That's a Ron Rivera guy.
I'm just
Kuechly.
saying.
Yep.
I'm not saying we're ever going to get a guy like Kuechly. They don't make them like that.
But you
all
can
the
draft
time.
him in the middle of the first round, which is where
we can go.
we're tracking.
I believe that our main improvement on the defense side of the ball, right here, right now, we are going to have a badass come in and play behind that front 4.
Yep.
Oh boy, with speed and physicality
And
on
I
the
have
outsides.
zero problem using a first-round pick on a starting badass in our
Second or
defense.
third. Well, we need
But
a
I'm saying,
starter, a tackling machine.
If that's the BPA in the middle of the first round, if some amazing 6'4", 230-pound, next elite generation linebacker talent comes. All right, here we go. Let's talk about where we're going, because we touched on the offensive line, we touched on the defense first 2 levels, and Cam Curl in the back.
Just not Chase.
The Seattle Seahawks. So it all comes back to Seattle for a second, and I don't have to. I know I got into it last week, T, and I'm not going to do it again. I promise you. I officially hate Seattle as a football team. When they lost to the New York Giants, that was it for me.
We wiped that off. It didn't matter.
I understand, but it was like
Did they go back to being the old Seattle?
No, because they were so close for so many years. I should have already hated them.
Something going on.
But for whatever reason, they're just like too far away. They're like on another planet. They're so far away. And Russell Wilson, is he really that hard to watch? No. And DK Metcalf is kind of amazing to see. But combine all the things that have happened, how much it rains, the price of Starbucks coffee, and the fact that they couldn't beat the New York Giants, and I'm done with Seattle. Just done. I'm done with Seattle. And the fact that they're coming to town.
I got to agree with what I said about some pundits earlier, saying now that the Washington football team is a team that's feared. I think Seattle's pissing their pants, honestly.
They should be.
A little bit.
They don't give 2 shits.
Well, maybe a little
They
bit.
got Russ Wilson.
Maybe just a little bit PP. Just a little bit.
It's a little like a dribble.
Yeah,
just a
like
little
a
dribble.
squirt.
No, but the thing is, so here's the good news about playing the Seattle Seahawks. So Russell Wilson is awesome, and he deserves every accolade that comes to him. He is a legitimate MVP candidate year in and year out, and there's only so much you can do against that. He's going to do what he does. But the thing about a team like Seattle coming to town is that we're going to match up against that in a way that they're not used to being matched up against that way. I mean, we can actually go out there and say, you know what, we know we don't have a guy who's going to, match up perfectly with DK Metcalf. I get it, but we're going to put Russell Wilson on the run, and we're going to absolutely put a helmet on whoever they hand the ball off to. We're going to make it hard for him.
Russell's the X factor here.
Always.
And because of what Kyler Murray did to us earlier in the year, I think Russell's that same type of player that can eliminate what we do well, especially up front, getting pressure. Nobody, not even Chase Young, is getting the type of sack he got on his first sack against Russell Wilson. He's not going to have the ball.
So many sacks.
Or he's going to be gone. So it's a totally different thing. I do worry about that. We have not played this way against the style of quarterback Russell Wilson is at this stage. So that's going to be interesting to see how that
can our defense score against Seattle?
Hell yeah. Seattle's coming across the country. They've been laying turds on the road all year long. If you follow, you can see the droppings. It's all over the place. They were at home and lost to the Giants. Yeah, but they lost to the Giants at home. I don't. That doesn't seem like a Seattle team that we're used to playing. And by the way, when I mean used to playing, it seemed like every playoff game we've had in the last 20 years has involved the Seahawks at some level. There's been like 3 of them. If the season ended today, before this week's game, we'd be hosting the Seattle Seahawks in the NFL playoffs. We just can't avoid these bastards. We couldn't be further away from them with less connections, minus Jim Zorn.
Makes me so upset.
They're just in here all the time. They're always around, nagging, just asking what's to eat, going through your fridge, looking at our women. I hate these bastards.
Have you seen what's going on out there? It can't be fun.
Just constantly raining.
Yeah.
And I know.
And the discord, not to get it political, just this craziness going on out there.
Yeah. I just want to catch a fish out there in the Pacific Northwest.
I'll catch a fish.
Catch a fish, eat a fish,
they can't
get my ass out of there before
Throw
I get soaked.
Fish to a player, as Macklemore said.
No, I feel like this is the Redskins right now are on a freight train of momentum.
Hold on. Ken's quoting Macklemore. I don't know if we both understood.
I didn't hear that.
Me neither. I was.
Okay.
Were you finished or?
I'm done. I'm good.
I'm a fan of Macklemore.
I love Macklemore.
Fine. I'm glad both you guys have gotten that off your chest this holiday season.
You have a problem with Macklemore?
Downtown. We'll moped on out of here as soon as the show's done. It's going to be great.
Is that a wheelchair joke?
It's going to be great. No, it's a moped joke specifically. But, we can figure out if you lead or if I follow. I don't know. Actually, it's you. You're the Macklemore guy. I'm just going to drive my car home. Nothing to do with this moped scenario. Bugatti? Nah.
Everybody got Bugatti. I like the match. Here's why I like the matchup. Because we weren't supposed to beat Pittsburgh. Based on what most people watched us do for the first half of the season, even though San Francisco is doing it with smoke and mirrors, no one thought we were going to beat San Francisco. Seattle comes to town. No one thinks we're going to beat Seattle. We're a 6-point underdog already.
Hold on. Our schedule was at Dallas, at Pittsburgh, at San Fran. How many people thought we were running that at 3-0 when this shit came out? So F the schedule. That's why I hate the schedule.
But that's why I love.
Everyone's like, oh, we're going to lose all those games. No, we went 3-0.
Yep.
3-0. Screw the schedule.
I
in
love
August.
the opportunity. The opportunity because it comes. It's not just a regular game. It is a game that comes with all kinds of storylines and opportunities. There are demons against the Seattle Seahawks, and if we're being smart about it, that's exactly how should we be thinking about it. This organization has screwed us, and they're coming to Washington, D.C., and they're bringing their fancy coffee beans and their Discord. I don't know what's going on here, what they're bringing. But they're bringing a team that everyone thinks is going to beat us. And that hasn't worked out for anyone the last 4 weeks. And I think that more than anything else, that this game is our last good chance to show that we can beat a team that we should expect to see in the postseason, because I think we finish up with Carolina and Philly, neither of which will be in the playoffs. So those are games we got to go after hard and really need to win. But to me, you want to beat good teams. This is our chance, our last good chance to beat a good team in the regular season, and this is the game that should be propelling us to the playoffs. Not Pittsburgh, not San Francisco, not Dallas. It's this game. Russell Wilson, Seattle Seahawks, 6-point underdogs. We're 6-7. The opportunity to erase the losingness from our record.
We opened at 3, Ken.
We
opened at 3.
I know.
It took off to 6.
I know.
So a lot of these people, the Rex Ryans of the world, saying Chase Young's the best player in the NFC East. We're the team that's going to come out on top, and all the early.
We're feared.
Vegas has not felt this.
There's the
Vegas is not
perception.
embracing all of this.
Nope.
Vegas is saying, listen, we've been dealing with these bastards for 20, 25 years.
Yep.
They stink.
We've seen this before. And also,
until we're proven wrong.
There's a different
right.
So there's the momentum that they have gained over the last 4 weeks that it does feel like they have the momentum of a freight train. There's going to be a huge factor of who's playing a quarterback, okay? I'm not saying this freight train is unstoppable, but whether or not, when you are faced with it like Seattle is right now, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt, especially because of the defense. The way that they're playing, the way they're gelling, what Rivera has been doing, just the feel, right, has been different, in my opinion. And you're right, Ken. This is the one that I think really sees where this thing is going.
And he just said to Pete Carroll directly to his face, I'm not a big Pete Carroll fan, fellas. I think he's a slime ball. Obviously a great coach. I just think he's just like a level above a used car, grease ball. He looked him dead in the face and said, no one wants to play us right now, essentially. I mean, who's up next? Seattle's up next. The Redskins are worried about the Redskins, but if I'm Pete Carroll, the Washington football team.
Here's the other piece to it. You're right. You made me think of this, Kevin. The Washington football team right now, with this momentum, has nothing to lose going into a game like this. They are playing on free money right now. They have no pressure. No one's expecting anything of them. All they have to go out and do is keep doing what they've been doing the last few weeks. They don't have any worries. Seattle's got to worry about, are we about to lose to the Washington Redskins, who at the beginning of the season was the butt of a joke? With what they're doing. We have no cares. I love a team that can play like that without any worry, without any expectation. They can just go out and frickin' play.
Well, the other aspect of this game that is weighing on gamblers' minds is who is going to play quarterback for us.
Yeah, it's big.
That's kind of the last main topic I think I have for us for tonight, and that is Alex Smith didn't look good early, and that could have been a variety of things. It could have been him being uber safe, making.
He was hurt off rhythm, trying to find rhythm. He was trying to find a comfort zone. He never did.
By the time they sat him, I already thought. By the time they sat him, I thought he was already hurt, and then he was finally taking a break. The fact that he didn't come out in the second half was telling. Here's my concern.
It cost me 2 bottles of Listel.
It's 3, but I gave you. I let him say.
I listened to it. Don't settle without you can't. Hold on. No. I'm part of this.
That's true. That's true.
You settled on 2.
And you try to bail out because Dwayne Haskins wasn't playing good.
On a kneel.
Yeah.
Oh, if he had lost the game.
You're not in charge of that. You lost the bet.
But
you
still.
can't.
So Haskins is likely starting this week at this point. Now, we don't know what's going to happen. It could be
Vegas jumped the point spread from 3 to 6. Haskins is starting.
Yeah,
It must be obvious.
My Italian paisans have spoken, and they think Haskins is playing this game. It's not that I don't think Haskins is a guy who loses this game for us. I'll say that first of all.
Can't be.
But I also don't think that Scott Turner is going to say, okay, Haskins, go out and win this game. I think Scott Turner's going to say, Haskins, throw it to Logan Thomas and J.D. McKissick as much as you possibly can and do whatever possible to get the ball to Terry McLaurin without forcing it.
Don't throw late outside the numbers or Cam Curl starts running that way for a touchdown for the other team. And that's a team whose D-backs have done that one too many times. So I cannot imagine that there's going to be way too much for Dwayne Haskins, which also makes me imagine that this is going to be a vanilla game plan.
But
now, within our vanilla game plan, the wrinkles that we create, the halftime adjustments that have been freaking badass. Our halftime adjustment scenario, we come out in the second half with 2 or 3 different wrinkles, always on the first drive right away to settle that defense's ass down real quick. Get us a first down or 2. I'm not saying we dominate. I'm just saying all of a sudden you're like, whoa, hey, that little McKissick flare route. Instead of taking it this way, he's hitting an angle right off the DN, and that ball's thrown in 1.5 seconds. I don't know how you
But
guard it.
That's
I
how
don't know
it
how
can
you
win.
guard it.
But the other thing is the Rivera factor on Haskins. So what's Rivera done this season? He benched Haskins. It was a disciplinary move. We know that Haskins was had a cop attitude, and Rivera thought the NFC East was still winnable, so went with Alex Smith. So what does Ron Rivera do this week? In my opinion, he's going to go to Haskins and say, "Hey, listen, buddy. Everyone said we were going to trade you. Did we trade you? No. Everyone said you weren't going to play for us again. Guess what? You're starting for us. Everyone thought this team was a joke. Guess what? This is a playoff team that you're getting a chance to start. Not only that, but we're about to go from 6-7 to a 500 team with a chance to have a winning record. What else do you want as a first-round pick? What else do you want as someone who comes into the league with a lot of expectations? What else do you want as a player, as a football player, than an opportunity to be put in a position to succeed? And I think Ron Rivera can successfully lay that out for Dwayne Haskins and give him the motivation that he requires, that we know he requires.
Yeah.
to
don't fuck this up
yeah,
motivational
that's true.
talk.
Yeah.
Church
What
and
it is.
basement meeting next
Oh,
door.
sorry.
Started this whole
I thought
podcast
we were
off
in a
with the
nest.
soap mouth.
That's
all right. I appreciate your passion. I'm just saying. I like to point it out when T does dirty.
Yeah,
he was on the naughty list right there, I think, Ken. How about the fact that Dwayne Haskins, apparently the general public, all these quarterback gurus that saw him play for X amount of time this past week have decided we should fold him up, put him into a box, and ship him to the North Pole because he's finished. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. What I do believe in is our new president of, well, I'm going to call him part of the culture club too, Jason Wright. Jason Wright sends a picture out on Twitter. It's Alex Smith sitting right next to Haskins, which I was certainly hoping to see. There's part of me that was going to say if Haskins isn't near Alex Smith throughout this situation, I'm going to be a little upset. Based on all the stuff we've been listening to and don't know a damn thing about. When Jason Wright highlighted the fact that the two of them are sitting there looking at what just happened in the previous series, going over and blah, 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 and comments on the culture and how this is how it's been in the building for the last month or so, that this picture means more to us than we know. That tells me a lot about what's been going on. When Haskins gets up there and has tears in his eyes because he got to get back on the football field.
Yep.
I believe that means something. I believe that means that he does care about getting better. And then regardless if you think he's ever going to play for us or should, that's not the argument. Inconsequential. We need him to improve. We need him to take his value up multiple notches. It's only great for us.
And this was a good decision by Ron Rivera.
Of course it
Ultimately,
was.
everyone, for all the things that happened to Dwayne Haskins as a result of being benched and a result of being disciplined and as a result of not being the reason why we were going to have a winning season, for him to have the chance that he's had to watch Alex Smith, that would have happened, and we could have finished 6-10 and not made the playoffs, and he still could have benefited. But the fact that we are 6-7 on the cusp of winning the East and going to the playoffs, it just cements the idea that Ron Rivera knew what the hell he was doing.
Apparently he knows how MRSA, one-legged quarterbacks who have had 17 surgeries and never possibly should ever play again.
Smart.
Yeah,
he said
knew
a lot
what he was
of this
doing.
has been about just this is how I feel it should go.
Yeah.
As the Mandalorian would say, this is the way. Ron Rivera would say.
I love when you quote
this
Disney
is the
stuff.
way.
We've said
When he says
he's the
this is the
Mandalorian.
way.
I mean, I've said he's the Mandalorian, and guess what? I also said one thing. I just wanted days, and I won't complain anymore.
These are days.
I want you guys to know one thing. On January 1st, 2020, we hired Ron Rivera.
Yeah.
On the first day of this horrendous year that we're having, we did one of the best things we've ever done in the history of this franchise, and we put a man of honor and integrity at the forefront, at the lead. And ever since then, we've had some tough days, but it's all been about getting to this point, the end of this season. We talked about next season being the day, but I just want to say there's been a couple days. April 23rd, he drafts Chase Young. Pretty good day for all of us, I think.
Great day.
Opening day at home versus the Eagles. Pretty fun. Don't know how we pulled that one out.
Good day.
Thanksgiving Day, we've already all admitted.
Best day of the year.
Best day of the quarantine.
Best day of the quarantine.
December 7th, the Monday night win over an 11-0 team. No 11-0 team has ever lost to a team with a worse winning percentage in the history of the NFL. Pretty good.
30 years. We beat a team for the first time in 30 years.
In 30 years. That was 78-1-1, went up 14-0. I mean, the numbers are astronomical.
Yep.
And last week, fellas, December 13th, heading right into the holidays. You know, about 11 and a half months after the day he was hired, we're in first place with 3 weeks to go. After quite a road trip of 3 road wins against Dallas, against Pittsburgh, and against San Fran that we were all decided we were never going to win when the schedule came out. I love this guy. I love this guy.
Can weave the holidays.
You think Ron Rivera is blood related to Walt Disney at some level, or is it like
this whole thing?
Hey, man.
We've been saying it for weeks.
So Daniel Snyder sold his soul to the devil, then made a backdoor deal with the Disney Corporation?
Not the Mickey Mouse from South Park.
In conjunction with the Rand Corporation. Again, we're still in year one of a legitimate rebuild. So everything that's happening that's going well for us is real, and it's there's no house of cards here. It's happened as a result of a true investment in building something up.
How many wins did your Pisons out there on the West Coast in the desert say we were going to have this year?
Ooh, by the way, that's a good point. I wouldn't say it was 5.5.
5 and 5.5, depending on the house.
And did I not beg people? Did I not beg people to take that over?
You pled the 6th. You did.
I begged people to take that bet, and I took that bet, everybody, and that's the biggest thing, because there was nothing more certain than us not getting to 5 or 6 wins 3 months ago, two months ago, and now it's like, wait, what? The Washington football team is six wins, and let's be honest, 7 wins is going to win this division, but we're going to have more than 7 wins. We're going to either be 8-8 or have a winning record.
I think
by the time it's over.
You have to be 8-8 now. The way it's turned.
So here's
a month
the thing.
ago, it didn't have to be, but the Giants are legit, man.
But the Giants are playing Cleveland this week, and I love what the Browns are up to, and I think the Browns are going to wax the Giants. Personally.
Maybe, but I see them coming off their big win on prime time. They put all their eggs in that basket. Baker didn't talk to the press. Oh, we're going to do it, and they did it until they didn't. That's a big letdown. That's a big break for the Giants. I
saw the fans in the stands in Cleveland. But first of all, just for a second, we could talk about a game that wasn't ours, the Monday night game last night. If you stayed up and watched it, I did. I don't know if you guys stayed up and watched every second of it. I did. I watched every second of it.
I had a little diarrhea. I had to run off to the bathroom.
Of course. The Cleveland
go to dinner with Lamar.
Baltimore game was amazing, and I think if you watch what Cleveland did against a good Baltimore team, I mean, there's just New York has no chance.
All right, here's where I'm going to argue with you. I think New York wins that game.
That's a bet. I got that all day. I'm money lining the Cleveland Browns against the New York Giants. You know what? A lot of people said the same thing when the stupid Seahawks played them a couple weeks ago. The damn Giants beat them. I can't get over that. I'm not going to I refuse to get over that game.
The Giants were better. The Seahawks,
they didn't want to win.
They're a bad matchup for some people. But, look, when Russell Wilson used to run around against us all the time, and you talked about Arizona, that dude was running through our secondary like a running back. Russ ain't doing that anymore. Russ is hitting that slide piece after he gets 7 yards on 3rd and 6. But when he is back, when he is within the tackles, now we have a different set of athletes that we've ever had. Now, I understand it. He buys time. He's so good.
He can buy time. He does. That's more what I was saying.
And he throws off elusive, he is.
And he's a playmaker off the run. That's it.
But you know what, man? I'm saying that we're so physical in D, we're a force to be dealt with. DK's just not going to line up and go run all over us willy-nilly. And if we put him in a one-on-one situation with Ron Darby, who's been playing tough, but that's not good for us. I don't think we have that situation.
It's not good for us
at
all.
It's not good for us. And Tyler Lockett is one of my favorite slot receivers in the league. I love the guy. I think he's a tremendous football player. I'm an anti-fantasy guy at certain levels because guys that at the bar want to talk about Tyler Lockett at X level when I'm like, do you understand what this guy does that you don't get fantasy points for? Sorry, but Tyler Lockett is a problem. Tyler, DK, and Russ are a problem. We got about the next 10 problems, I think. So let's see.
No, it's just when you put the Seattle offense against the football team offense, I worry that I would be more comfortable playing the Steelers with a Ben Roethlisberger type quarterback than a Russ Wilson right now, because if he can make a quick escape and get out, you do have a DK Metcalf where you can kind of give him a shot at it.
Yeah, but Ben was throwing about 1.5 seconds.
Big X-point play.
Ben gets it out in 1.5.
He does.
Russ hangs on to it.
But
you can't hang on to Chase and Montez.
He can get away.
He can, but can he get away from 6'6", 260, running a 4.6 on both ends? That's a problem the whole league. I'm not saying this to you. I'm saying the whole league has now become privy to this. They're like, damn.
But if they can
they can slap fives from like their stance
but
over
they can make a
Payne
play
and Allen.
Like that. They can make a play like that and keep themselves in a game.
Yeah.
I just don't think the football team has that capability right now. They need to have some sort of sustained success, or
it's on defense, bro.
It can get away quick.
we gotta take
away quick.
We gotta take a 50-yarder in on D.
The weak link here is, can the offense match it? That's all. The defense is going to do what they do. Can the offense do enough? Right?
Yeah. Well, this ain't a Seattle defense of old. That's all.
Right.
The Legion of Boom isn't there,
it's
but
not there. No Legion of Boom.
Yeah, but our offense isn't exactly the greatest show
on turf. And I'm not saying it's on Haskins either. That's not what I'm saying.
Shouldn't be.
It's on our
defense. It doesn't
defense.
have to be.
If it is, we lose.
Doesn't have to be. If he puts it on himself,
right now,
we lose.
Yeah.
The winner
if he
of the
just
game
goes
is
out
going
there
to be
and does his job,
their offense
we have
versus
a
our
chance to win.
defense.
When
That's
Haskins
the matchup.
came in the game and unleashed that 22-yard heater
Yeah.
to Logan Thomas with that little bit of, you saw the back ankle come through, T. He rotated the hip. That was a confident. That ball had smoke on it, and I went, wow.
I know.
Now, it never got better than it did after that moment.
No, he threw off his back foot a couple times after that, unfortunately.
This way.
The problem, the problem was when they came zero blitz in the red zone when we were on about the 12.
Yes.
It looked like he almost shat himself.
He was falling backwards. It's all footwork
Yeah.
and fundamentals.
Yeah.
We know that. It's all his feet being attached to his brain. He'll get there.
We're going to
hopefully
attach our brain to the money line for the Cleveland Browns over the Giants. We appreciate all you guys hanging out with us on the boards tonight. We will be back next week to break down this game. Please do us a favor. Click on the subscribe button. First Amendment Sports. It's a free subscription. We are the official Redskins Washington football team broadcast of Hogs Haven. We will be back to talk about this playoff-bound team. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Until next week, he's Tim Strachan.
I apologize for anything I may have said that could have been hurtful to anyone. I'm in a church. I can go to confession right after this and be good. I will, I promise.
Would you like me to sit in on this one?
No.
Fair enough.
You go on and do your own thing. But I will not apologize that this is awesome. This is fun. I'm glad this is where we are. I'm glad the guys on the board are still sticking with us. Bring more people along. Let's grow this conversation, man.
He's Kevin Ricca.
Chase Young. 2016, I'm at the DeMatha Good Counsel game. I see Chase Young scoop, score, take it to the house. That same year, we all sitting around watching highlights. I forget they played somebody else before the season started. Pick six on a middle screen. Pick house call. A lot of us were talking about that looked like Sean Taylor. That reminded me of Sean, and that's awesome. And I get it, I do. But to me, that looked like 2016 versus Good Counsel. 2014 at Pilati, Ohio State for the last 3 years. That looked like we've always seen.
Yep.
We've seen him do this at every single level around here. Yep. We are not surprised. The nation has woken up to it. But you got the Sack brothers to deal with. And our favorite Sack brother, Chase Young, doing it, representing Week 14 coming out party. I think everyone got a dose of what we've been talking about down in the basement, at Ken's, and at church, homie.
We have a legitimate playoff-bound National Football League defense, and that is all you need in Week 14 in any NFL season. We got it. We are coming back to you next week to talk about how we did it, and I look forward to that. In the meantime, enjoy your build-up to Christmas. Christmas is coming early, everybody. It's going to come on Sunday, and it's going to keep on coming all the way through the new year. Thanks for hanging with us. Appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a great, great, great week. Keegan says we said Redskins over 10 times. That's probably fair.
Seriously, Keegan, put your abacus back. It ain't Christmas yet,
It's doing
buddy.
too much math.
Thanks,
Too much
Keegan.
math.
I know. If we say it one more time, he's going to freak out and have to take off a loafer.
I gotta just come back and see us next week, everybody. Appreciate your time. Have fun. Root for wins. Go Skins. On behalf of First Amendment Sports, I'm Ken Maringold. This was, thank God it's Tuesday. We're still live.
What?
You ended that with a freestyle rap that we might have to bust out later. Are we still on?
So I was saying earlier.
He didn't say I was still on.